Okay, well, hi there, everybody. This is weird. Tell me if we're even on. Jump into the chat room. Tell us if we're on. This is going to be one of those days. Hey, guys, welcome to Movie Talk here on Collider Video. My name, of course, is John Campia, and thank you so much for joining us today. It is a holiday in the United States for those of you who are watching us outside of the United States, and so the whole crew is off. But, you know, we know that a lot of you guys still like watching Movie Talk on the holidays anyway. So Wendy Lee is joining me today. How you doing, Wendy?
Hi, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing very good. This is the first time you've done this via Skype, right?
Yeah, I feel like we're crossing internet worlds right now. It's like the Collider studio crossing into the movie couple set,
Yeah, I
which is
didn't.
AKA my dining room.
Okay, so like it's like a 45-minute drive
Just about
for
on a
you to
bad
get
day.
to the office. So we
Yeah.
decided today just let's try it over Skype. This is going to be, more laid back, more casual, more easy, and we are so glad, by the way, that you guys are joining us at home. Thanks a lot. Make sure you jump into the comments section, leave comments. Now, for most of today's show, Wendy Lee and I are going to be taking your live Twitter questions. So make sure you're following us at Collider Video on Twitter, and you can start firing in some questions, and that's what we're going to do a little bit later. The whole crew will be back again tomorrow. The regular Movie Talk is up and running tomorrow, but we wanted to make sure we had a show for you guys today. So, listen, before we get to the Twitter questions, though, as we're about midway through the first month of the year. It's January. And, pardon me, and, I was looking down the other day, Wendy, at
Yeah.
all the films that are opening up this year,
Hmm.
and I remember thinking this. Somebody asked me, "Hey John, what's going to be the biggest movie of 2017?" And of course, my mind instantly jumped to Star Wars. Star Wars Episode 8 is going to be the biggest film of the year.
Obviously.
But is it? See, that's the thing. Now, I am,
John Campia questions Star Wars?
well, I mean, hey, remember, I was the guy when, before Star Wars Episode 7 came out, and before The Force Awakens came out, I was the one guy on Jedi Council who said, no, Star Wars Episode 7 is going to be big, it's going to be huge, but it's not going to break Avatar's record. And I remember Christian and Tiffany and Ellis looked at me like I just got hit in the head by a brick. They're like, are you insane? I was like, guy, look, it's going to be big, but remember, they're coming off of the prequels that left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. Not everybody, but in a lot of people's mouths. It's been a long time. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be huge. It's gonna be monsters, but I don't think it's gonna beat Avatar, and it didn't. But here's what's got me thinking a little bit about this. Is it a foregone conclusion, really, that Episode 8 will be the biggest film of the year? Now, look, I'll just admit right up front, if I had to put $20 right now on a bet of will Star Wars be the biggest box office film of 2017, yes, I would put down that $20. But let's look at it like this. They just put out Rogue One, and Rogue One is joining the $1 billion club.
Yep.
But it's not going to be a $2 billion film, and I don't think any of us expected that it would be a $2 billion film, but still. So we've got a movie come out. It's a $1 billion club. Okay. We're not going to really know what the audience reaction to Star Wars Episode 7 is going to be until Star Wars Episode 8 comes out, because you can't really judge by Rogue One because it's an anthology film.
Yeah.
So it got me thinking, you know what? I think there's an opportunity for a couple of films here to maybe sneak that in. Like, I don't know, Wendy, what do you think? Am I like out of my mind? Do you think it's an absolute 100% certainty that Episode 8 is the number one film of the year? Or do you think maybe it's possible something else could be?
I mean, it's definitely top three, if anything. But of course, I think there's always going to be a chance for another movie to dethrone the probability of Star Wars being number one at the end of the year. I mean, we have Justice League coming out, and I know, blah blah blah, Batman v Superman, very divided, sort of view on that. But I still have faith in the DC movies, and you have five awesome superheroes in one movie. How is that not going to make money? People are going to go see it no matter what.
Oh, people are absolutely going to go see it. But, okay, so I thought we would take a few minutes. Let's look at a couple of the other big films opening up this year. By the way, guys, leave some comments in the chat board about, let me ask you guys in the chat board this. If Star Wars Episode 8 is not the number one film box office-wise of 2016, what movies do you think have a chance of beating it. Let me throw out a couple of possibilities here. One possibility that a lot of people bring up is Spider-Man Homecoming. And I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to write that one off right away. I'm looking forward to Spider-Man Homecoming a lot, like an absolute lot. Everybody was excited about Tom Holland's portrayal of Spider-Man in Civil War, all that kind of stuff, but it's still not an Avengers movie. Yes, it's Spider-Man. Yes, we know that we're going to see Iron Man in it. It's great that Jon Favreau's coming back as well, but it's not an Avengers movie, and their standalone films don't do as well as, obviously, the big, huge team-up. So I'm going to say Spider-Man taking the number one spot, almost a 0% chance. What do you think?
I think that's probably a really, really good guess. I can't believe that even slipped my mind. I said Justice League before I said Spider-Man. Yeah, absolutely, for sure. For sure, it's. I think that may be the top competitor for against Star Wars.
Oh, you think the number one competitor against Star Wars is going to be Spider-Man Homecoming?
Yeah, because I didn't even think about it. I was just thinking, because I feel like superhero movies, comic book movies, ensemble ones do really, really well because it appeases to everybody.
Yeah.
Batman, Wonder Woman, all this. But then this is like, it's Spider-Man. How do you not like Spider-Man?
It's Spider-Man. It is Spider-Man. I still don't think it has that much of a chance. But there's a couple others that we should probably talk about. The one I think is not my number one potential one, but one that maybe has an outside chance is actually Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Because that first one came out of nowhere. I mean, it was the one that all of us said from the beginning, this is the biggest risk Marvel had ever taken. Now remember, this is before Doctor Strange. But we're like, this is the biggest risk they'd ever taken. This was a completely unknown property to almost everybody out there. But the movie crushed it. Almost everybody at least likes Guardians of the Galaxy. And a lot of people absolutely loved it. Then they bring out the first trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And everybody's raving about the trailer. Everybody wants a baby Groot of their own. And I'm telling you, I think there is a chance that a Guardians of the Galaxy, we could be looking at I think the last one made just a hair under 800 million worldwide. Maybe it's in that ballpark, around 800 million worldwide. But I'm telling you, I think there's a chance that Guardians of the Galaxy 2 does like 1.2 or 1.3 billion dollars.
What?
I honestly do. If
that much?
I'm telling you, because there is so much great word of mouth about that movie. It's one of these movies that, like I said, caught a lot of people by surprise. And so a lot of people never even saw it in theater when it was out. So a lot of people have come on board the train on home video with it. And I think if this next one comes out... Now, a few things have to happen here. Number one, the movie has to be great. So if this movie comes out and it's great and everybody raves about it like the last one, I really think this thing could cross, like I said, 1.2, 1.3 billion dollars. Do you think it's got that shot?
It certainly does. I think the first one, a lot of people, like, for example, my husband had to see it twice to have the movie grow on him.
Right.
But once he bought into it, he loves it. And when we saw the trailer, we're like, we know we're going to go opening weekend. And absolutely, I think James Gunn is doing so good with the script and everything he's doing. And they're utilizing Baby Groot the way he should be utilized, the way he's cute, and I'm going to Baby Groot up my office for sure.
I'm telling you, that trailer... When Rocket's talking to Groot, I still laugh. I've seen the trailer about 50 times, and I still laugh when he goes, okay, let's go through it. I am Groot. Yes. I am Groot. Yes. I am Groot. No, I laugh myself silly whenever I see it. Okay, so I think Guardians of the Galaxy has a shot. Now, let's talk about a couple outsiders here, and then we'll get to the one that I think has...
I got one for you.
Oh, what's yours?
I think War for the Planet of the Apes is going to be giant.
Apes on horses.
Apes on tanks. Apes on horses.
Apes on tanks. You know what? I was going to bring that one up too as an outsider. And, sticking in the ape theme, I think another outsider is Kong.
Yes.
Because here's why. Now, before you call me crazy about calling Kong an outside shot, none of us thought Jurassic World was going to come anywhere. Remember, Jurassic World came out, and before The Force Awakens did it again, it was Jurassic Park, or Jurassic World, I should say, that ended up beating the Avengers opening weekend record. Nobody saw that coming. We knew there would be a lot of nostalgia factor, and it would probably do well. But Kong has that. I don't know. There's something about it that tells me, unless the early reviews come out, they're not so hot. But there's something about Kong that I just taste a little bit of that Jurassic World flavor. That same kind of aura about it, the same kind of temperature and the climate about it. I think Kong might really surprise us. Do you think it has any chance?
Absolutely. I mean, I've never been one like for I wouldn't be the first in line to buy those tickets, let's just say. But these trailers, and maybe Tom Hiddleston being in it has something to do with it. But I know I am excited to see this movie. The trailer got me really excited to see Giant Khan, and John C. Reilly is in this movie too. And what's not to love about that guy?
Yeah, and John Goodman and Samuel Jackson. And of course, you got the reigning Best Actress Academy Award winner in it as well. I mean, there's a lot of things going. There's a lot of things going for it. Look. Let me pick up the cause of Mark Ellis here.
Oh, Beauty and the Beast?
Beauty and the Beast.
200 million.
Look, if I had to have a number one contender, number 3 contender for me is Guardians of the Galaxy to beat Star Wars. My number 2 contender is actually Beauty and the Beast. I was out the other night, and I was at a sports bar, and behind me there was a table of women with 1 or 2 guys. There was like 8 women with 1 or 2 guys, and they were all talking Beauty and the Beast, and they were all just so excited. And I know I was just back in Canada over the holidays, talking to some of my friends up there, all talking about Beauty and the Beast. I think even I have underestimated how much nostalgia there is, how much love there is for that original animated.
Oh yeah.
I know you and I have some different opinions over how the trailers have looked. I've just been absolutely enraptured with them. I think, look, I am still not ready to drink the Mark Ellis Kool-Aid on $200 million opening weekend.
Yeah.
But if Beauty and the Beast comes out with all the attention that it is going to get, and once again, a lot of this is all predicated on whether the movies are really good and that word of mouth starts to generate to support it. But if it is good and people hear, I think there's going to be a lot of people out there that, number one, are interested in Beauty and the Beast, but may not think, oh, but it's a live action remake. No. I think if a lot of those people start hearing, oh, that live action remake is good, I think you're going to see a flood of people going in there. Yeah. I think Beauty and the Beast is a lock to break $1 billion. And I think it's got a potential ceiling like around 1.5. Like that high. If it's really good, I think you could see 1.5.
Yeah. But I don't know if it'll open on 200 million. I think that's a bit much. But I think maybe it might come close. Who knows? They are doing a lot with marketing. I am seeing Beauty and the Beast like Emma Watson as their little dolls and their dresses, and they're selling the sets of Mrs. Potts, and already at Disneyland, Disney stores. It's overflowing my Instagram feed. So marketing is already underway, and I think because Cinderella live action did so well, people are going to walk into this movie expecting to have a great time, to see their old favorites come to life on the screen.
Okay, so my number 3 contender for dethroning Star Wars was Guardians of the Galaxy. My number 2 contender is Beauty and the Beast. Now, before I get to my number 1 contender, and you're going to know what my number 1 contender is.
I think I know what it is. It may be the same.
But before I get to the number 1 contender, let me tell you what movie is going to be the most important movie that will determine if Star Wars can be dethroned, okay? This isn't the movie that could dethrone Star Wars, but this is the most important movie in determining if Star Wars can be dethroned. And it's this: Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is the most important movie in 2017, mark my words, that will determine if Star Wars can be dethroned. Not that Wonder Woman will dethrone it. Wonder Woman is not going to break any box office records. Wonder Woman is not going to dethrone Superman. It's not going to come close. But here's why it's important, and you know where I'm going with this. If Wonder Woman is awesome, and I know that's a big if. I know that's a huge if. I get it, okay? But follow the dominoes here. If Wonder Woman is great, and people love it, and the word of mouth starts buzzing about this movie, and people run out, and faith starts to get restored. Look, there's a lot of people like me. There's a lot of DC Cinematic Universe fans out there. But even those of us who are DC Cinematic Universe fans, we acknowledge there's a lot of people who aren't yet.
Mm-hmm.
If Wonder Woman can come out and crush it and start to change people's minds, then your number one contending movie to dethrone Star Wars becomes Justice League.
Yes.
If Wonder Woman can crush it and people love it and have a great time and buzz about it, two things are going to happen. Number one, they just loved Wonder Woman and she's coming up in Justice League, so they're going to want to see Wonder Woman again. But number two, if Wonder Woman crushes it, people's faith in the DC Cinematic Universe starts to get restored a lot more solidly, and they're going to want to run out and see it. So I'm telling you, like, it all depends on Wonder Woman. Everything about 2017 at the box office, I think it depends on Wonder Woman, even though it's not the movie that's in the running. So, Wendy, if Wonder Woman is great, do you think Justice League could actually put up a big challenge to Star Wars Episode 8?
Oh, absolutely. Like I said earlier, people, I think, really love seeing an ensemble superhero film. So why wouldn't you want to go and see Justice League? Because it's got everybody's favorite. I mean, Flash, Aquaman, Cyborg, Wonder Woman, who is my favorite, and then Batman, too. I think it all does depend a lot on Wonder Woman, and I think everybody's going to be watching it like a hawk, and I hope they don't nitpick it to the point where it's not even enjoyable to watch, you know what I mean? But if Wonder Woman does well, for sure, Justice League is going to put up a big fight against Star Wars. But I guess we'll see in March. Wait, when is Wonder Woman coming out? Is it March?
Shortly. I don't have my thing out. Maybe
it's soon. I'll look it up.
It's coming out within the next few months for sure. Okay, so I'll bring up one more movie that we have.
Yeah, there's a movie.
address.
I'm surprised you haven't said it. And maybe it's this one.
I'm sure it's the one we're about to say. But before I do, I want to ask you guys in the chat board, start firing. What are movies that you legitimately think could possibly pose a threat to Star Wars Episode 8 to be the number one box office film of the year? Look, there are some other good ones. There's a lot of other good ones coming out. Logan's coming out, but let's be honest, it's not gonna make $1.5 billion. I think it could be an awesome movie, but look, no Wolverine film has done hyper great box office. Actually, no X-Men films always do good, but they don't blow box office out of the water. So even though Logan might end up being the best comic book film of the year, there's a chance that could happen. I don't think it has a chance for box office. Thor Ragnarok, I'm looking forward to it a great deal, but it's not going to pose a threat to Star Wars Episode 8. Lego Batman is another one.
I'm seeing a lot of Fast and Furious.
Hey, look, after what happened with Fast and the Furious 6 and 7, but I think it's lost a little bit of steam. But I'm not going to write off Fast and Furious, but I wouldn't consider it a serious contender. You got it, but there are two films you got to talk about. There are two films you have to keep in mind, even if they're not my number 1, 2, or 3 contenders to beat Star Wars. And those two are this. No matter how much we're going to laugh and giggle and hum and haw, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh.
I mean, Pirates of the Caribbean is one we've got to keep our eye on because, look, my personal opinion is I loved the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, and personally I think all the rest of them have been terrible. But they continue, no matter how bad they've been, they continue to all break $1 billion worldwide. So you got to keep your eye on that one. But the other one, and I'm sure a lot of people in the chat board are throwing this one out right now. Mm-hmm. The other one you got to keep your eye on is Transformers. Transformers, the reason I'm, though, not putting Transformers in my number 1, 2, or 3 contender spot is because I think there's just too much of a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. Mm-hmm. And I just don't know that people are going to trust it. And when you get that early buzz, and personally, I didn't like the first trailer they put out. Even though I'm the guy who always buys in, no matter what, I always drink the Kool-Aid and I buy into the new Transformers trailers. But I didn't like this one. This was the first Transformers trailer I didn't actually like. And they start saying, wait a minute, it's going to have King Arthur and Winston Churchill, and it's going to have the Nazis, and
it's just so much going on. It just sounds like a mess.
Yeah, I mean, look, never count out the Transformers. Never count them out. And I'm not saying, it's going to flop. No. Transformers is most likely... I can't imagine a scenario where Transformers doesn't at least make $800 million worldwide, and it will probably cross the $1 billion mark, but I unless something really changes in the next little while, I just don't see it posing a real threat to Star Wars Episode 8 at this point. What are some of the names that people in the chat board are throwing around right now?
Seeing John Wick 2, Guardians of the Galaxy.
John Wick 2 will not.
Talked about.
John Wick 2 will be awesome and incredible and wonderful, and I cannot wait to see it. But let's not fool ourselves. That movie's not going to. That movie's not going to make 700. It's not even going to make 700 million. It's not even going to make 500 million.
It'll make good money
for what it is, but
it won't come close to any sort of Star Wars box office.
No. What are some other titles?
I see Despicable Me, and I really wouldn't count that out. I really wouldn't. I think that both films have been really, really good. I like the second one better than the first, so maybe this one can be even better than the second one. Who knows?
Yeah, the only thing hurting Despicable Me 3 is going to be Minions, because I know a lot of people weren't all that happy. Everybody loves the Minions, but not a lot of people were happy with the movie itself.
Yeah.
Any other outside shots that people are throwing out there?
I've seen Triple X.
No.
That's definitely a no.
I love me some Vin Diesel, folks. I love me some. You know this. I love me some Vin Diesel, but come on, Triple X is not going to blow up the box office.
I'm also seeing Dark Tower, Lego Batman.
Lego Batman's going to do really well. I think, but it's going to do really well for a Lego movie. I mean, it's not going to be $1 billion film. So,
other than that, it's most of what we talked about already.
Yeah, I mean, some other little things to keep your eyes on, of course, is going to be the new Kingsman. I don't think, I mean, I've got some friends telling me, John, I'm telling you, Power Rangers, keep your eye on Power Rangers. Look, I never even thought Power Rangers could be any good. I thought Power Rangers was the stupidest idea in the world to do as a movie. But I call it like I see it. I like the trailer.
Okay, 2 more movies that they're mentioning. Dunkirk and Alien Covenant. I don't know about those. I mean, they're going to do well. But
they're going to do well. You bet your ass that Dunkirk's going to do well. And Alien Covenant, I think the problem that Alien Covenant's going to face, although that first trailer was incredible, that first trailer was awesome. The trouble they're going to face, I think, is going to be the fact that, number one, Prometheus was divisive. Not everybody loved Prometheus. I'm one of the people that I didn't like Prometheus. Mm-hmm. It's beautiful, and I love it was very ambitious. I just didn't think it executed right. So I think that's going to go against it, although I think it's going to do okay. I don't know. There's just a lot of things to consider. So, yeah, I think, again, I'm just going to say, I think the movie that has the best chance to beat Star Wars Episode 8 as the number one box office film of 2017 is the Justice League, but it's going to entirely depend on, once again, what I think is going to be the most important movie in deciding what is going to be the biggest movie of the year. It's all going to depend on Wonder Woman. Yeah. Wonder Woman crushes it. Justice League has a shot. Wonder Woman underwhelms. Wonder Woman is divisive. Like, it could really spell a lot of trouble for Justice League. That's the funny thing here. Justice League could be the film that beats Star Wars Episode 8.
Yep.
But it could also tank horribly. If people get turned off by Wonder Woman and that they don't execute on that movie, Justice League's in a lot of trouble. Or it could be wearing the belt at the end of the year. Like, it's all depends on Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is it's going to be, I'm telling you, Wonder Woman is going to be that movie this year that is going to really determine the landscape of the box office for 2017. That's what I think.
I've never been so excited to see a movie and yet dreading it at the same time because I want it so badly to be good.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't want to get out and be like, that was subpar.
Look, it's my most anticipated. I'm not necessarily think it's going to be the best comic book movie of the year, but for a lot of different reasons, Wonder Woman is my number one most anticipated comic book movie of the year. Partially because of how important of a role it's going to play in the future of the DC Cinematic Universe, but also because there's a lot of really cool question marks that surround it, and so we're going to have to wait and see. All right, guys, listen. We said that we're going to spend most of today's show taking your live Twitter questions, and we're going to do that right now for the remainder of the show. Thanks a lot, by the way, guys, again, for joining us today on this holiday Monday. We hope you're having some time to spend with friends and family and reflecting on the meaning of the day. But we are going to go to our Twitter questions. Once again, make sure you're following us on Twitter, @ColliderVideo, and start firing your questions. We're going to spend the next 20 minutes or so with Wendy picking some of those questions out. So, Wendy, what have you selected?
First one comes from Fahad Dries. I'm saying that totally wrong. I love you guys so much. My cue is, when do you think we'll get the Justice League trailer? Thanks for reading my question.
Well, let's not forget there already is a Justice League trailer, but when are we going to get another one? Man, that's a... You know, it reminds me a little bit of sometimes we run into this situation with Marvel and Disney films that we have sometimes asked, man, why haven't they brought out another trailer for Avengers Age of Ultron? Right?
Yeah.
I remember they had that first trailer out and then it was delayed. And then what we figured was, you know what? They've got Ant-Man coming out. They probably don't want to take too much attention away from Ant-Man. They're probably going to put most of their attention on that and really get that built up. I'm suspecting we're not going to see... we might see another trailer, but I'm suspecting we're not going to see a big push on Justice League when they still have Wonder Woman to come out.
And that comes out in June 2nd.
That's when Wonder Woman comes out?
Yeah.
And when's Justice League scheduled to come out?
November 17th,
November
as
17th.
it says on Box Office Mojo.
Right. So, look, the Justice League is still like almost a year away. And there's no need for them to put... Number one, there's no need for them to put out another trailer right now. They've got months to put another one out. But I think what Warner Brothers should do, and what they are doing, I think they're going to focus their marketing efforts on Wonder Woman. And that's where it should be right now. Wonder Woman comes out a lot sooner than Justice League does. We've just talked about how they need Wonder Woman to do really well. So I don't see why they would spend much time or attention marketing Justice League right now when, number one, the movie doesn't come out for almost a year, and number two, they've got another film coming out in just like a number of months from now that they do need to focus some attention on. So I think it's going to be a while before we see it.
And I think it's kind of nice, too, because they did just drop that ensemble photo of the 5 of them. So I think if they do little things like that throughout the year until they're ready to put out a really good trailer, I think that'll satisfy the fans and that'll keep, everybody discussing the movie.
Yeah, and I think if they do put out any stuff like that new picture they put out, anything they put out regarding Justice League, I guarantee will have Wonder Woman in it. Because they are also trying to market that film.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Kadre D. Smith writes, if Ghost in the Shell does well in the box office, will we see more live adaptation of anime, and if so, which ones?
It's a really interesting question. Because, here we go. On the surface, you'd think if they take an anime and it does really good, boom, the floodgates are open for anime, right?
Right.
It reminds me, though... back when Lord of the Rings was coming out, the first Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring.
Right.
And when that movie crushed, a lot of us thought, that's it. Now the floodgates are going to be thrown open on these sand and sandal, wizards and sorcery, fantasy kind of movies. Because not only was Lord of the Rings crushing at the box office, it was getting Academy Award nominations. All 3 Lord of the Rings films were nominated for Best Picture. Obviously, Return of the King won Best Picture. And no other film in history has won more Academy Awards than The Lord of the Rings Return of the King did by winning 11. And we all thought that, well, that's it. Now they're going to scour the literary world and find these wizards and sorcery, sand and sandal kind of epics that they can tell. And it didn't happen. I mean, 1 or 2 things came out, but this big rush of them didn't happen.
Yeah.
And I think what might have happened was there might have been a little bit of a reverse thing happening where Lord of the Rings comes out and crushes it. I think that a lot of the studios then went, now we're afraid that if we try to do a movie like that, it's just going to be called, number 1, a Lord of the Rings ripoff, and number 2... Lord of the Rings was so good, our films are going to be compared to it, and they're not going to be as good as Lord of the Rings is. And so I think, whereas I originally thought it was going to throw open the floodgates, I think the reverse happened and people shied away. Okay, so now let's get to Ghost in the Shell. Ghost in the Shell, not a lot of North Americans know a lot of anime.
Right.
But there are some titles, 2 in particular come to mind. Akira and Ghost in the Shell. I mean, if you're going to talk to the average person in North America, I think those are the 2 titles you could bring up that would have the most chance that people will recognize those titles.
Yeah.
So, let's say Ghost in the Shell comes out, and it does great, and the critics love it, and all that kind of stuff. Well, really, there's no other direction to go except to more obscure. Like, you're not going to get... Because I think Akira's already owned by somebody else, and I think somebody else is already developing Akira. So... The only thing you can do is go, as far as public awareness goes, is go downwards. You got to go down to things that are more obscure. So there's a little bit more of a risk. Look, I'll say this. If Ghost in the Shell does well, I do not think it's going to throw open the floodgates of a lot more anime adaptation coming.
Right.
But I think it increases the chances. I think there are some properties out there that had 0% chance of ever getting made. If Ghost in the Shell comes out and it does well critically and it does well at the box office, then yeah, I think there are properties that never had a shot of getting made that maybe now would have a shot. I'm not going to say it's automatic. I'm not going to say it would be a lock, but I certainly think there are going to be properties out there that would get a shot that maybe never would have got a shot. What do you think?
I mean, for me, I grew up with anime, so of course I wanted to do well. And I think I was thinking at first, like, I was like, okay, if Ghost in the Shell does really well, then we maybe every like 3 or 4 years we'll get an anime movie. And then now I'm thinking about it, maybe not, because I don't know, because they would all be adaptations. It wouldn't be, obviously it wouldn't be original. So there's very few titles that they have to be really careful, I think, with what they try to translate on film. And the ones that I would want to see aside from Akira would be Cowboy Bebop. I would also want to see Attack on Titan, which is not easy to do. And there's the Japanese live adaptation, and it's all right. It's not bad, but it's not easy.
That would be a tough film to make.
Yeah.
Attack on Titan would be a very, very difficult film by Hollywood standards. I mean, that would be a huge... I know, a lot of people want Hollywood to take another shot at Dragon Ball Z. Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of people want another shot at Dragon Ball Z, and I mean, how bad was that first one?
Good.
No.
It's no bueno.
And a friend of mine is in that movie, and even Jamie Chung.
Right. Yeah. She's in it.
Yeah, and I love but that film was not very good at all.
It's not her fault.
No, it was certainly not her fault. All right, what's the next question?
All right, next one comes from AJ Rose, who writes, have any of you ever visited a drive-in? And if so, what is your fondest memory of going to one, and do you expect them to survive?
All right. I don't think I've told this story since the movie blog audio edition days.
Whoa.
Going way back when. I love the drive-in theater. And I confess, I mean, I haven't gone to one since I moved to the States. So it's probably been 10, 12 years since I've gone to the drive-in theater. But my favorite, just because it's so funny, me and a couple of friends went to the drive-in. And of course, we went to make out. But so we go to I mean, come on, let's be honest.
No, it is what it is.
But the funniest thing, and I swear to God, I am not making this up. So we go to the drive-in. I can't even remember what movies we were going to see. And that's the great thing about the drive-in, too. It's usually a double feature. So we go to the drive-in, and about halfway through the movie, we realize... like this car that wasn't directly behind us, but like angled behind us. Mm-hmm. So it was behind us and then over one. Okay. It was a pickup truck, and we kept noticing some movement. I kid you not. When we
really
finally
getting it on,
they were standing up in the back of the pickup truck, having sex standing up in the back of the pickup truck.
Wait, what?
Not covered. Not under a cab, not inside the pickup truck, standing in the back of the pickup truck.
Classy.
I mean, it was, and this wasn't in South Carolina. This was up in Canada, and it was not the winter.
Just curious, what movie was it?
I cannot remember for the life of me. I think it was a Will Smith film, but I can't remember for sure.
What, Hutch?
But that
Hitch. What the?
And
what
maybe it was Hitch. I don't know. But that is one of the. I'm not gonna say it's my fondest memory of going to the drive-in theater.
Well,
but
got a little bit more than you bargained for.
It was one of the funniest experiences. And it just went on like that. And I think finally one of the management thing came in and asked them to stop. But that's the funniest. Have you ever been to the drive-in? Have you guys?
I have never been to a drive-in. I don't think there's many in where I live. I don't know. I have to like look for one, maybe on the internet, and see if there's one that even exists around me. But I've never gone before.
I remember when I was a little kid, my mom and dad would take us sometimes. And this is like when I was young. I mean, this was when I was a kid. And it was still in the time when you would pull up to a spot, like they'd have parking spots, and they'd have these speakers that you would take and bring in, like wired cabled speakers, and bring the speaker inside your window and then roll up your window so it would snugly fit. And then I remember then they changed it to, they would broadcast the audio on an FM frequency, so you just turn on your stereo in your car.
That's cool.
I remember that got a lot better. But I love the drive-in theater. Number one, it's completely intimate. Because you've got your own. I don't mean intimate that way.
But you just told the story.
I know.
I cannot think back to that.
Where's Ashley Mova when you need her? But no, it's an intimate setting. You've got. I mean, today, like your car seats are some of the most comfortable chairs you own. So you can lean back, relax. You've got like tons of space. You have your food, whatever you want. I mean, it's actually kind of a cool experience. And then like in between movies, you get out of your cars and you socialize with people. It's a great experience. I don't think drive-ins are going to be around much longer. They're very difficult to maintain. And then if you're not in Southern California, you're a seasonal business. So you need a huge plot of land, and then you got like at least a quarter of the year that you can't even be open. And then you're weather dependent because if it's raining and pouring, no one's going to go to the drive-in. It's just a tough business model to maintain, which I think sucks because it's one of my fondest memories of stuff. Anyway, all right, what's next?
All right, next one comes from, where did it go? All right, Oliver Queen wants to know, since Cap is in Wakanda at the end of Civil War, over or under 60% he will be in Black Panther?
Well, that's a great number. 60% is a really good number to set as your over-under. Because I certainly don't think it's a lock, but considering what is in Wakanda, you got the Winter Soldier there, and that's probably at the heart of a lot of why the U.S. government wants to come. And I know there's another storyline going on as well with the rival and all this kind of stuff, but I'm going to take the over on 60%. I think there's a really, really good chance that Cap... Now, I don't think he's going to play a monstrous role in the film. I think they're really going to focus on Wakanda, but I think Cap... I'm going to take the over 60% that he at least makes an appearance. What do you think?
Over.
Over?
For sure. Over for sure. And not just because, Black Panther is the quote-unquote newcomer and he needs, a push from Cap. I think it just makes sense for Captain America to appear, even if it's just in one scene. Or maybe at, the end credit. Yeah,
it almost feels at this point that with Iron Man, Tony Stark being in Spider-Man, it almost feels like, look, the two big kingpins of this whole Marvel Cinematic Universe is Captain America and Iron Man, obviously. So I feel like if they're going to... I think one of those two will be in almost every movie moving forward. So if you got Iron Man is going to be in Spider-Man, probably Captain America is going to be in Black Panther. It's not a lock, though. Don't fool yourself into thinking it's a 100% thing, but I think it's an over 60%. Okay, what's next?
This is an interesting question. Harley Dave 77 wants to know, as a European citizen, when will we see the end of not available for your country in this digital age? This is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, and you know what? That probably has something to do with our new show, Awesome-tacular. I know we've been getting a lot of comments because for those of you who don't know, we have just started putting out a show we've been working on for a long time called Awesome-tacular with Jeremy Johns. Look, I'm the executive producer of it, so of course I'm going to say this, but honestly, it's a great show. I love Awesome-tacular. I love sitting back and watching it. Jeremy is such a fun, entertaining, engaging guy. We have an incredible writing staff with Ken Knapsack and Josh McCouga and Mark Riley. And one of the guys who helps with running the development of the show, of course, and Christian Harloff, and Dennis Zen as a producer as well. I mean, it's just been, it's just a fun, fantastic, wonderful show. Now, that show is paid for by Verizon Go 90, and so the show is developed for Verizon Go 90. So the show is not on Collider Video's YouTube channel; it's on Verizon Go 90. But unfortunately, Verizon Go 90 is only available to people within the United States. Now, there's good news, though. I have not talked to anybody to Verizon about this, but it seems like what Verizon is doing is putting the episodes of Awesome-tacular on their Verizon Go 90 YouTube channel 1 week late. So you can catch this week's episode of Awesome-tacular on Verizon Go 90, but you can go and check out last week's episode of Awesome-tacular on their YouTube channel. So at least they're putting them out there for everybody worldwide to see. But it becomes tricky because what happens is, like in the case of a Verizon Go 90, and I'm only speaking out of general knowledge. I haven't spoken to Verizon Go 90 about this, so please keep that in mind. Okay, so do not, whatever comes out of my mouth are the opinions and views of John Campea. I do not represent Verizon Go 90, okay?
Unofficial.
Very unofficial. So what happens though is there are a lot of programs get made, and this happens in movies too, and different people get the rights to distribute that programming, whether it's a movie or TV shows, in different markets. So a lot of movies, the distributor in the United States may not be the distributor for that movie in Germany. And it may be a different distributor that has the rights to do France, Italy, and Ireland. And then it might be a different distributor that does this and this. And so I think digital rights right now are kind of the same way. So you've got a company like Verizon Go 90 who have a lot of programming on there, but for some of that programming, they may only have the North American distribution rights or the American distribution rights. And therefore, they can't allow their channel to be accessed outside of the U.S. to make sure they don't violate their market, if you will. They're not allowed to violate that. Now, like, once again, let me reemphasize again, this is me just operating on the things I know from previous companies that had situations like this. I have not spoken to anybody at Verizon Go 90. It may be a different reason. But you're right. We need to, at some point, we have to get to an era here where it is one open internet that if you live in Paraguay or you live in Chile or you live in Italy or you, lucky bastards, or if you live in the United States or in Canada or whatever, that if something is online, that you can see it and access it online the same everybody else in the world can. We've got to get to that point, but right now we're still tangled in a very complicated, and I understand, somewhat necessary web of rights and digital rights and distribution and all that kind of stuff. And until that all gets sorted out, it's going to be like this for a little while, but I do believe we're moving towards an age where this won't be an issue. All right, what's next?
Khalil writes, do you think that Logan will dethrone Deadpool, the battle of the R-rated mutants?
Oh, now that's a good question. Logan's chances of dethroning Star Wars Episode 8, no chance. Logan beating Deadpool for R-rated... Again, it's going to go back to the same thing I say about every movie when we're trying to pontificate about it. It all depends on what the word of mouth is it received as good? I'm going to say yeah.
It's going to dethrone it?
I'm going to step out on a limb and say Logan will beat Deadpool. I think Logan will make $800 million. Now, this is, of course, if we see it and the first reviews come out and it's not that good of a movie, I'm going to retract that really quick. But look, that first trailer was the best trailer of 2016. To me, it's not. There's some great trailers in 2016. Nothing comes close to how good of a trailer. Not Rogue One trailers, nothing. That Logan trailer, that Johnny Cash music video was the best trailer of the year, bar none. And if there are other marketing that's about to come out pretty quick is up to that standard as well, and the movie delivers what it feels like it's going to deliver, yeah, I'll go as high as 80% that Logan will dethrone Deadpool as the number one box office R-rated movie. Do you think it has a chance?
Honestly, I am going to go the opposite spectrum. I think it'll come close. I don't think it'll quite dethrone it. It'll come very close just because Deadpool was a movie. Deadpool really, I mean, except for in that one, was a Wolverine Origins movie that he made a cameo in. We didn't have a Deadpool movie. We've seen Wolverine many times before.
We try not to talk about that Deadpool. That Deadpool does not exist.
The terrible one.
Terrible one.
So while I think Logan is going to be amazing, I do think that Deadpool was so different and it was so just fresh. It's just because we've never had anything like this before in the past, and that's why I think partially why it made so much money. Now, Logan, it is the final chapter for Wolverine, but we've seen him before, so I don't know if people are going to be like, except for the fans, obviously, like we're just talking about everybody in our bubble. Yes, we're all going to go see it and we're excited for it, but I think the general public are going to be like, I don't know, it's a superhero movie, but it looks kind of serious.
All right, let's take two more questions and we'll call it a day.
Okay, this next one comes from Machapa, I'm butchering everybody's name, Ahmed, who writes, Are your new upcoming shows going to be on YouTube or other networks?
It's going to be a little bit of mixture of the two. So let me give you a little bit of behind the scenes here. We do have a couple shows that we're developing that are specifically being developed for our YouTube channel. And then we have one or two shows that we're working very hard on right now that are not for our YouTube channel. Because I'm going to be very honest with you guys. Just boom, guess what? YouTube doesn't make crap when it comes to money. YouTube don't make money. I mean, sure, I can go buy lunch with what we make on YouTube, but like, YouTube does not pay the bills. I mean, around here for an operation like ours. What does do much better for us is programs that we make, like a Film HQ, like Awesome Tacular for Jeremy Johns, shows that we make and license to other distributors are far more advantageous for us. We generate. It's an understatement to say a lot more doing those shows than we do for the shows on our YouTube channel. And in many ways, sometimes we talk about on here about how, hey, little indie filmmakers, don't bad talk the big blockbusters, because those big blockbusters are what provide the money for you to make your indie films. Like when the studios like Fox Searchlight and Vantage Pictures, like the smaller indie studio arms of the major studios, those great little indie films get made on the money that the bigger pictures make for the studio, which allows them to finance that. For us, I think it's fair to say that the revenue we're able to generate making shows like Awesome Tacular, like what we did for Film HQ, those shows are actually what's going to end up allowing us to do the shows that we do on YouTube. So like Movie Talk doesn't pay for itself. The stuff we do outside of our YouTube channel is what pays for us to be able to do Movie Talk. So it is a mixture. We do have a couple new shows coming down that we're very excited about that we are developing for. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to tell you what it is yet, but this Wednesday we are shooting a pilot for a brand new show we're going to try.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know about it, Wendy.
Yeah, I do.
So we're shooting a pilot for a brand new show that we're actually very, very pumped about, and I think you guys are going to like a lot. That is for our YouTube channel. But then we have a lot of work that we're putting in on another show that won't be on our YouTube channel because there's another outlet that is interested in buying that show from us and licensing and paying for us to produce that show. So it's always, for moving forward, it's going to be a mixture. New shows for our YouTube channel, new shows for outside the YouTube channel. Great question. Yeah. All right, last question of the day.
Before we go to that last question, just want to remind everybody, Perry did a cool Deadpool editorial that's up on our channel right now, so you guys should go ahead and check that out.
Not just that one. Perry put up this great one on Deadpool about its Oscar chances. You should check it out. It's great. It's on the front page of our YouTube channel right now. But also the newest episode of Crash Course got put up. Now, of course, we're going to play it on Wednesday's Movie Talk as well, but this new crash course on everything we know about Justice League so far. It's hosted by John Schnepp. It's great. Make sure you go and check that out. It's on our YouTube channel right now under the Crash Course playlist. It's, once again, everything we know about Justice League, so make sure you go and check that out.
Okay, and final question comes from Matthew Current, who writes, who is your dream guest to have on Movie Talk?
Oh my gosh. Dream guest. I mean, look, there are guests that I have always wanted on Movie Talk that we've never had, like a Kevin Smith. I just always thought Kevin Smith would be a great guest on Movie Talk. I can't say Chris Pratt because we've already had him. But my dream guest is, to this day, the one guy I have never met and never interviewed, and that's Steven Spielberg.
Oh, wow.
I've never even met Steven Spielberg. I mean, I've sat in George Lucas's office. I've met Harrison Ford. I've met Mark Hamill. I mean, I've met I've had a litany list of Oscar winners I've had a chance to sit down and meet and talk to. But Steven Spielberg is a guy I've never even had a chance to make, and I think he's the single greatest filmmaker in the history of the industry. And to have, I'm pretty sure if Steven Spielberg came on the show, I retire. Because it's all downhill. It's all downhill after that. What do you do after Steven Spielberg? Because it is all downhill after that.
This is true.
No, that's the one. It would be Steven Spielberg. If you could have one person, Wendy, come into studio, besides The Rock, who if I came into your office tomorrow, Wendy, and said, "Hey, Wendy, so and so is coming in this week," what's the name that would make you fall out of your chair?
I mean, you said Spielberg, so I won't use him. Can I have two choices?
Absolutely.
I'm gonna say one of my favorite actors. Oh God, there's three. Okay, I'm gonna rapid fire. Gary Oldman, Viola Davis, John Boyega.
Oh, Viola Davis. I love Viola Davis. Okay, so here's the thing about Viola Davis. I had a chance to meet Viola a couple of times, but I was with her at where the first time I met her was on the set of The Help, and I was I was actually really blown away by both her and Octavia Spencer. Mm-hmm. But Octavia Spencer, I did a separate interview, and I did Viola in another one, and just so classy and so much grace and just awesome woman. I cannot wait to see. I mean, if we could ever possibly have her in here. Oh, damn, I would jump all over that. All right, guys. Well, that'll do it for us for this installment, this holiday special. Again, thanks so much for putting up with us. The fact that the whole crew's on holiday. We just decided that we know a lot of you guys still wanted an episode of Movie Talk today, so we came in and did that. And so thanks for enduring the fact that we're not in the studio. I'm just in my office. Wendy is over there. She is over there at home. Thanks for doing that, guys. So, Wendy, where can people find you online?
You can find me on YouTube at the Movie Couple channel and also on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat at Wendy Lee Zaney.
And you guys, of course, can find me on Movie Talk tomorrow. Once again, the full crew is back. Movie Talk starts up its regular programming again tomorrow. But you can also follow me on Facebook and on Twitter, simply at John Campea. Well, guys, it's been real. This has kind of been a throwback, old school kind of way to it back in the day when me and Schnepp used to do everything over Skype. Thanks a lot for being here, guys. We really appreciate it. Looking forward to the whole crew being back tomorrow. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.